Let's hit the last question, which was, how much should we consider our partner's feelings when viewing content online that turns us on?
The great thing about that is that the person's experience who's witnessing their partner look at content, what's being brought up here is that not only that person's personal philosophy, their kind of abstract ideas about the way a relationship should be and their values and their beliefs, it's bringing up their emotions. And, there are so many people in our culture and actually all around the world who think that emotions are secondary to your thoughts. And you should be rational and you should be logical and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that in our brains, the neurons or the brain cells that help us make decisions are intertwined between thinking and emotion. So you cannot make good decisions without your emotions feeding into your decision. Emotions are incredibly important. And for some odd reason, our culture thinks emotions are terrible. Right.
Like we say, what does your brain think? What does your heart think? Like we always feel like we have to choose one or the
That's
right.
right.
Like,
That's
well, my heart
right.
wants to do this, but my brain's telling me no. So
That's
like if we
right.
kind of like work with those two both in mind, that's when we make the decision.
Here's another bingo for you. Well, what you just said was exactly what is true. That is that both emotions and logic are in our minds. They're in our brains.
Physically.
That's exactly right. They're in our brains. And sure, we've got some emotional centers around our heart, literally, and in our gut too. It's amazing. Right?
Yeah.
But the thing that's incredible is that emotions and thoughts need to be connected in order for a person to be fully aware of what they are feeling themselves and to be aware of what their partner is also feeling. And so in terms of this question, should we consider our partner's feelings when, we want to look at content? Well, why wouldn't you? We hope that our partner wants to hear our emotion. They are connected to the deepest part of us. So if our partner doesn't listen to those emotions and says, oh, you're full of it, you're ridiculous, you're overthinking this, it doesn't mean anything, wrong. That's wrong. Because that partner is only thinking about how they view looking at content. They're not focusing on how their partner feels and how that is affecting the relationship. In this question, in the background, is another question, which is, does your partner turn towards you when you describe your emotional response to something like viewing content as negative feelings, making you feel insecure? Does your partner turn towards you and say, I don't want you to feel that way, honey. I want you to feel really good and loved and know how attracted I am just to you. So this stuff is not as important to me.
There's something that physically seems to happen when both people are like, oh, I know what we're doing, without even saying it almost,
Right. So when both people are really hearing one another and turning towards one another in terms of really wanting to connect and respond and act in a loving and trusting way with their partner. Now, both people are doing that. That's the ideal. That's what you really want to look for. But another good point you're bringing up is that you also have to be aware that in order to turn towards your partner, you're not entirely giving up the bones of your body, which make
Right.
you who you are.
Yeah.
Right? So, in our own methods of therapy, for example, and helping people have better connections, what we talk about is think of your position on an issue, like whether or not your partner should watch content, as broken into two parts. One part, the center of who you are, has to do with, okay, what can I not give up on? What would hurt me so deeply if I just said yes
Right,
to this
right.
aspect
Right.
of the position my partner wants me to take,
Yeah.
that I really lose myself in the process.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So, what we want is to honor our own core values, our own core needs, while at the same time being flexible about all the other things.
Yeah.
That circle around
The core thing.
that core
Yeah.
thing. So, for example, in the couple that you described, where they were watching, one person was watching pornography, right?
Yeah.
And the other person felt really uncomfortable with it when they were in the house. Okay. Well, so that person's core, the core of their position on the issue is, I'm not totally against you watching pornography. I just need to not witness it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there.
Right.
But the flexibility is, if you want to watch it when I'm not there, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's okay. So that is an example of where each person is honoring the other person's core need.
Yeah.
One person's core need may be to watch some pornography, to masturbate every now and then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's okay with the other person,
Yeah.
right? The other partner. But again, the compromise comes from, okay, I don't have to be there when you're doing that.
Yeah.
And the other person doesn't need them to be there when they're doing that either.
Yeah.
And the flexibility comes in where, okay, if we're together, we're not going to be watching porn.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a compromise they both can live with,
Yeah.
where they're each getting a core need honored and respected,
Yeah.
and they can arrive at something that feels okay because it's more flexible and doesn't dishonor themselves nor dishonors the other person's core need.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's so great. This is really great and so important to talk about, because I do think that with so much, social media and all of, and I mean, we've had pornography for, however long, not even on
10,000
film.
years.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
But this is something, and
That's
so,
right. That's
and
right.
it's something that needs, that I know that lots of people have questions about.
You bet.
So it's great. Cool. What our next open-ended questions will be. But for now, brilliant Dr. Julie Gottman.
And the brilliant Ellen.
And we'll see you next time.